As I make my videos nearly every single day talking about the Russian situations and updates every single day, a lot of people were telling me that I have no idea what I'm talking about and that all the things I say are not true. Now, as you know, yesterday in the United States of America, Trump has taken the presidential seat. And while signing the documents, he has said the things that I have said before. The fact that the Russian economy is crumbling, the amount of Russian soldiers that were killed. Let's just check out this video real quick and talk about it.
Do you plan to speak to President Putin?
Could be very soon.
And you talked a bit about Ukraine and Russia, but how long do you think it would take to end that conflict? And
I have to speak to President Putin. We're going to have to find out. He can't be thrilled. He's not doing so well. I mean, he's grinding it out, but most people thought that war would have been over in about 1 week. And now you're into 3 years, right? So he can't be thrilled. It's not making him look very good. Now, eventually, I mean, it's a big machine, so things will happen. But I think he'd be very well off to end that war. We have numbers that almost 1 million Russian soldiers have been killed. About 700,000 Ukrainian soldiers are killed. Russia's bigger. They have more soldiers to lose. But that's no way to run a country.
You could see that President Trump has said that Russia lost around 1 million soldiers, whereas Ukraine lost 700,000 soldiers. First of all, what I wanted to say is I can't even imagine a number of 1 million people. That is just unbelievable. 1 million people, it's can't imagine 1,000 people, can't imagine 100 people. 1 million people have been killed in this stupid war because Vladimir Putin just wanted to capture more land for no apparent reason. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The denazification that he was talking about or anything like this, it's very saddening. It's very saddening that we know for a fact that at least 1.7 million people have been killed over the past 3 years in this conflict. Unbelievable. Now, what is really interesting is that it seems like President Trump has been saying that Zelensky is ready to negotiate with Vladimir Putin and the United States of America, and I'm guessing Europe, to get the conflict to end. Now, I don't know what sort of negotiations this is going to be because I really doubt that Ukraine is going to be willing to give away the territories to Russia, and I really doubt that Russia will want Ukraine to keep the Kursk region. So there's going to be a lot of battling if there's going to be any negotiations starting very soon. I just cannot imagine the Ukrainian people wanting to give away the land, and then at the same time, you got Vladimir Putin with the Kursk region, which is currently occupied by the Ukrainian soldiers. How's that going to work out? I really doubt that everyone is just going to pull out of those areas, and I'm pretty sure that Vladimir Putin wants to hold the captured land. So if they do some sort of negotiations, that only means one thing, that Ukraine is going to be losing a huge chunk of land. And where is this going to take us? I have no idea, but I really don't believe that the negotiations are going to work out, because it's really going to make unstable situation in both of the countries, and people are just going to go crazy. So we will have to see in the future when the negotiations are going to start and what is going on. But there's a little fragment of Donald Trump talking about this situation right here.
He said you plan to speak with President Putin soon. What about President Zelensky, and what's your message?
Yeah, I would, but he's told me he wants to make a deal. Zelensky wants to make a deal.
What kind of
I don't know if Putin does. He might not. I don't know. He should make a deal. I think he's destroying Russia by not making a deal. I think Russia's going to be in big trouble. You take a look at their economy, you take a look at the inflation in Russia.
So we could see that definitely Zelensky and Trump have talked about this before, and they're looking to negotiate some sort of a deal, maybe some security guarantees inside of Ukraine so that they could stop this war one way or another, to stop the killing of the people. Like I said before, we will just have to see. This is one of those very, very hard topics to talk about, and I am not a huge expert on diplomacy and how this will work out, because this is a very, very hard topic, talking about the lands of two different countries. Now, here's a video of Vladimir Putin congratulating President Trump on the elections. Let's check it out here.
We see the statement from the newly elected president of the USA and his team members about the desire to restore direct contacts with Russia, which were interrupted not because of us, but by the outgoing administration. We also hear his statement about the need to do everything to prevent a third world war. Certainly, we welcome such an attitude and congratulate the elected President of the United States of America on assuming office. I emphasize, we have never refused dialogue and have always been ready to maintain smooth relations and cooperation with any American administration. I have already spoken about this repeatedly. We proceed from the fact that the dialogue will be built on an equal and mutually respectful basis. Considering the significant role our countries play in a number of key global agenda issues, including strengthening strategic stability and security. We are also open to dialogue with the new US administration on the Ukrainian conflict. The most important thing here is to eliminate the root causes of the crisis, which we have talked about many times. This is the most important thing. As for resolving the situation itself, I want to emphasize that its goal should not be a brief truce, not a pause for regrouping forces and rearming to subsequently continue the conflict, but a long-term peace based on respect for the legitimate interests of all people, all nations living in this region. Of course, we will fight for the interests of Russia, for the interests of the Russian people. This is essentially the purpose and meaning of conducting the special military operation.
He stated that the previous presidential team has stopped talking to them, basically stopped all communications, and that Vladimir Putin is ready to communicate with any presidential team in the United States of America. So he's hoping to be able to talk to Donald Trump. The thing is, I really doubt that it was the United States that stopped all the communications with Russia. I'm not sure, but it seems like Russia didn't want to hear what the other side wanted to tell them. And obviously, talking about this situation, Putin is in the wrong here. He attacked another country to denazify, to whatever. He said that it's the Russian citizens' interests. I'm not sure about that. You know, I've never had any interest in capturing a land from neighboring countries as a Russian citizen myself, so I don't know which citizens he's talking about, or maybe he thinks about himself because he's a citizen himself. So very, very, it's really hard, but we'll have to see what is going to be happening very, very soon. Now, during the inauguration, I found this really funny. Mark Zuckerberg staring at Jeff Bezos' wife. I just, like, what is going on? He didn't stare, it was a little glance, but it definitely became a huge, huge meme inside of the media space. Now, a little story about a Russian man who spent 13 months in an immigration detention center in the United States. So basically, the guy ran away from Russia and he crossed into the United States, probably through Mexico, and he was detained for a long time. But this story is actually very interesting, and as you guys know, my plans are to emigrate to the United States, but I don't want to be doing it, running through the border. I want to do the proper way with visas and stuff like this. But I just wanted to show you what can happen to people who cross the border. A Russian man who spent 13 months in immigration detention while trying to gain asylum was deported from the United States. Shortly after returning to Russia, he was charged with discrediting the army. Yevgeny Mashinin, a resident of Vladimir, came to the United States in May 2023. The Russian crossed the Mexican border, ended up in an immigration prison, and applied for the political asylum. In Russia, Yevgeny was detained 3 times during protests against corruption, torture, and the outbreak of hostilities in Ukraine. The European Court of Human Rights even awarded Mashin 5,000 euros in compensation for the fines and arrests in his home countries. But this did not help Yevgeny receive asylum in the United States. Mashin spent 13 months in an immigration detention before a Texas court ruled on his case. The young man told the publication Dovod, according to him, the petition was reviewed by Judge Kevin Terrell, who almost always denies political asylum. I quote, "They even refused to grant a person who had a criminal case. The judge told them, you will be jailed, but you will not be killed when you return to Russia." So I guess that judge wasn't in the mood by that time, but it seems like that judge doesn't give anybody political asylum. And there's many cases that I know myself. A lot of people create their own cases. They hire lawyers that replicate or create a case from scratch, and then they go to Mexico, run across the border, and try to claim asylum. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of judges probably picked up on that. So, they don't want somebody who's actually at risk to go in. I could be wrong, but this is my opinion. Yevgeny was deported to Russia, and soon the police came to him. Administrative cases were opened against Mashin for discrediting the army and petty hooliganism because of loud, obscene language at one of the rallies. At the end of December, a court in Vladimir sentenced Mashinin to a fine of 35,000 rubles, which is $350, which is basically a month's salary in Russia, and 2 days of arrest. After serving his sentence, Yevgeny left Russia again. He's now in Morocco. So, first of all, you could see that living in Morocco seems to be much safer than living in Russia right now. And the fact that he got deported back, I'm not sure if he had a choice or it was just a free option to get flown back to Russia while getting deported. I'm not sure. If I was getting deported, I would try my best not to get deported back into Russia and just to ask to buy myself a ticket, go to some other country. Maybe this guy was in a different situation. But like I said, again, this is a very hard thing to do, and a lot of people actually want to immigrate to the United States of America because of the fact that you could speak out your mind, you could start up a business. The police aren't going to be knocking on your door if you talk about the political figures in the government. If you speak out against them, no, you're not going to go to prison for that. But in Russia, you do. Very unfortunate and very scary. And the fact that a lot of people were telling me if the war ends, for example, there's going to be some sort of negotiations and it comes up as working out and, works out. I doubt that I would be returning to Russia because the current government is still going to be in charge then. And the problem is nothing is going to change inside of Russia. Yes, maybe there's not going to be a mobilization, but there's still going to be a ban on a bunch of Western websites. There's still not going to be freedom of speech, and I'm probably going to end up in jail for everything I talk about and bring out the latest news to you guys. So I'm definitely not planning on returning to Russia if the war ends and the government doesn't change. But I really hope that the government changes very, very soon. On the other news, guys, this is very interesting. A lot of you guys were telling me that I got a nice hairstyle. Thank you very much. But Russian teenagers have begun to suffer from baldness. Only at the age of 15, 16, school children have to go to the doctor to try to save their hairstyles. And the reason for this is regular stress and neurosis, bad blood vessels, poor posture, eating disorders, gastritis, and metabolic disorders. In the last year alone, the number of teenagers experiencing baldness has quadrupled. Guys, Russian teenagers are going bald. Not surprised because of the amount of stress that's happening inside of the country. Most have receding hairline or a gradual thinning of the crown on their head. The great and the dreaded lake in the woods. You don't want to have a good old lake in the woods, you know. If I had a lake in the woods, I'd just go bald, you know, just shave that stuff off. But also, as you guys probably know, there's special operations that you could do to implant hairs and stuff like this. But the thing is, against this backdrop, hair transplant services have begun to become more expensive. Over the past 3 months, the cost has skyrocketed by $300, and by the end of the year, it'll reach $2,500 per operation. So having $2,500 as a teenager in Russia is virtually impossible. So, yes, guys. Impossible. Not gonna happen unless you know, the meme coin, the Trump meme coin. If somebody bought it when it was like 0.001 cent or something like this and sold it when it was $70, then maybe they would have enough amount of money. But yeah, there's a lot of people talking about the Trump meme coin, and I'm not sure why he launched it. And I know that a lot of people made a lot of money from it, and a lot of people lost a lot of money on it. But, you know, my personal advice is to not get into anything that you have no clue about. You know, talking about trading, talking about, you know, crypto, stocks, and stuff like this. You need to do a bit of research and not jump in the bandwagon. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people lost money. I'm not sure why he created the coin, why his wife ended up creating the coin. Doesn't make any sense, but I'm pretty sure some people made tons and tons of money. And on the last news about Russia, the 71-year-old former assistant of ex-governor Vladimir Artyakov and former head of the Samara Region Development Corporation withdrew $3.5 million and $800,000 from a VTB branch. Wait a minute, what? A 71-year-old assistant to ex-governor and the head of Samara Region Development Corporation withdrew $3.5 million and then $800,000 after. My question is, why is nobody talking about the fact, how in the world can a government official at the age of 71 years old have that much money? But you know what's funny? That's not all her money. She transferred those funds to unknown persons, becoming victims of fraudsters. Later, the pensioner tried to repeat the operation at the Sberbank branch, but the bank security service intervened and prevented further losses for the pensioner. The thing is, was it really fraudsters that were doing it, or was she just sending all of her money to offshore accounts, and then when she got caught, she was like, "Oh, I'm very sorry. The fraudsters have called me on my mobile number and told me to send them that much money." I'm not believing that story. I think it's the offshore accounts. Thank you very much for watching today's video, and I hope that you found it informative. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more new updates and information about the Russian news, and I'm guessing about the global news now as well. Thank you very much, and I will see you guys next time.